cellular processing speed, the torque speed, the calculator capacity levels, the spin capacity level, the electrical capacity of the eternal life force field to perform cell corrections, cellular speed corrections, mapping systems, mapping mathematical genetic codes, software codes, the mapping system, mapping the design. So I'll give you an example of like mapping a system of full spectrum dominance, mapping the mathematical design of that system. It's called a test light, which is logic. The logic of spheres is balance. Seeking the pathway, the spiritual pathway of least electrical density to experience no sound. We all know that. Okay? So I thought I'd share as it relates to mapping the full spectrum dominance mathematical system design, which is not the eternal crystal design of the grand creator design, the 2-4 square crystal cathedral, the key Roche body. So when you're mapping a universal time matrix at God source mapping speed, because God source eternal is letting you know, mapping the codes of a system design, I'll share with you some of the places that I went as it relates to command. System command, like the command line cursor on a screen. Mapping the mathematical codes of the system design, an artificial, life-coded design. So when I was a teenager, for example, these are some of the places that I went from which I learned through the experience of mapping the codes. The holographic, mathematical, electrical codes of what I see, which is what I'm mapping, which is the mapping speed of that design. And the speed at which we're making breathing corrections, neurological, lymphatic, like lymph nodes, the radiation counter, cleaning up dirty radioactive codes, the miasma codes, bringing in healing codes, the crystal aquifer codes, the crystal core, the crystal organic water code, tetrahydrolase fused with helium, Betharian form, the crystal Betharian form and flow, the inflow and the return flow to experience being one. Kundaraya, oneness with God source. And so here's sort of a short list of some of the fun that I had working in many of these places. And so the one that came to my mind a little while ago after communicating directly with the sun and the crystal core was when I was a teenager, as a summer job, I applied the application of consciousness, the codes, running the codes, cellular codes of communication, network communication codes, system design codes, the communication platform, the cosmic communication platform, CosLight, the cosmic records, the cosmic permanent records. Oh, yes. Ah, yeah. So back in the late, I think it was like 1972, I guess it was, I applied. So my consciousness is now mapping the application as an AM/PM grid, the grid network communication codes of that system command, full spectrum dominance command, like space command, like beast system command, the breathing cycles, as that relates to breathing cycles, code transfers, technology code transfers, loyalty, trust, wheeling and dealing, and honoring the highest divine law of spiritual being, of experiencing pure, internal, eternal, absolute love. on fire to play music with God Source Eternal. And so I went to work for a company that was formerly known as Collins Radio, which was directly associated with who? NASA. Their server, mapping their server system command. NASA. Yeah, Collins Radio. They were involved in the first, I guess it was, what was it, Mercury? The Mercury Project? The Speaker Project, and the Mercury Project, the Mercury Program. They're all programs. Get your program here. Right? And so I went to work for Collins Radio, but it was purchased by North American Aviation. That's old Dutch Kindleberger's group. That group formation. That hive. Because Dutch Kindleberger, that would go back to World War II at the Downey facility in Downey, California, where the space shuttle was being built. The big pieces, the main pieces, right? As a matter of fact, I was there when Queen Elizabeth and Ronald Reagan came in to look at the simulator, the flight simulator of the shuttle program. It's a program. Okay? And that was an old North American Aviation facility where they were making stuff, war machines for World War II, the war game theater, the fantasy. You know, like fandom, go look up fandom. Fandom. The fantasy world, like Fantasyland and Disneyland. And so I went to work for Collins Radio, which was actually part of Rockwell International. So when I went to work there, they put me through training called CMOS, semi-oxide semiconductors, and they had some pretty cool machines. One was called a Perkin-Elmer, which was imprinting micro-orbital circuits to make chips for calculators and watches. So they had what was called a clean room, right? You know what a clean room, if you ever heard of laminar airflow, we had to put little bonnets on, and we went into a room to put our regular clothes away. Then we had to put on smocks. And now we're going to a laminar airflow, right? So they put me to 2 weeks of training to show me how they operate the system. And so when you fast forward from that outfit, I went to work for a keyboard outfit, Keytronics. Oh, like Keylonic Science? Yeah. Making keyboards for a compact computer. Right? Keyboards, keyboard players, keyboard operators, the character maps, the symbols, the mathematical symbols of communication, mathematical communication, electrical communication, and the speed at which we're translating silver and gold mated translations, the radio frequencies, the radio codes, the radiation mathematics, and making corrections in the field, the morphogenic field structure of the Key-Roche body, the 15D. That's right, making corrections to original codes. Wow, that source level correction. Absolutely correct. That's the crystal core. That's the one I serve. The one I am is the one I serve. I Manu Aya. So you see how this relates to ion relationships as mathematical relationships of communication between one and the other. The machines. Translating the machine code of a machine code design, the machinery codes, and the speed at which God is letting us know how they put it together, how it was designed as a machine to correct the right codes, which are the right neurological lymphatic breathing codes as nodes in a motherboard. The mother arc, the 13th mother arc. Because failure was not an option for the 13th starfire light cycle of the auroras. The aurora. And that's music. We're musicians. the heartbeat, the first heartbeat, the first pulse, the first breath of Kemaloa to you. Ita Urshale, Imanu Aya, Zalukale to all of you.